Hello, this is Dead Hamster, and today I'm going to be doing another update on some more progress we made with the leaks concerning Mario Kart 64. Last time I spoke, I mentioned there was a level we had found called Town, a beta level that was made during development. We have managed now to successfully export this level data. I'm going to be able to showcase a few screenshots and then walk through the level in a 3D environment as well. Now, I still don't have texture or UV exporting, but another person in the community, Micro, has worked that into his level viewer and was also able to do a fantastic flyby of the entire level, going through the course the way that the course paths were. So I'm going to find and link to his video because that's something that I definitely need to make sure everyone gets a chance to check out. So just a moment here, we'll switch over. Oh, where is it? Oh, I know it's in here. So, wow, that's good spelling. Definitely check this out, watch the whole thing. I'm not going to go through it all now because it's about a 5-minute video. Right there, go to that link. It's a complete flyby of the whole course, full textures, UV maps, everything looks absolutely great. We're very excited about this. Very interesting stuff. We're going to be able to import this into the game. We might have to replace an existing level because the overcart format is still a little bit early and I don't want to necessarily cut out on bitmaps and things, but none of this is up to me. Micro 500, again, is the person who managed to get this render finished up, and he's the one currently working on converting everything over. So I've been able also to import the geometry, but as I said, I don't have UV maps or bitmap exporting at the moment, so I'm only able to render it as a 3D environment. Still lets us explore quite a bit of the level. Some very interesting things I want to point out, and I'm going to pull up this screenshot here. Now, this building right here, it's actually a church. So if you go, and I'm going to pull this up now, that would be from the start right here. There are windows along the side, big stained glass windows, and then doors on each end. I think it's very interesting to see Mario Kart put some type of religious building like that, and it was actually called church in the game's files. It wasn't like, religious building or temple or anything like that. It was specifically called church. So just something interesting. I don't think you would see that today from Nintendo. I don't think they would use something specific to a certain religion. Definitely interesting to see that. Small fountain here looks pretty neat in this little park area that you would approach. There's also a shortcut through a factory, I believe it was called. So there's a small interior building going around this turn. You would be coming up here, around this turn, or you could cut through the factory, making a quicker route. There may have been different objects in there. Again, it's unsure what was dynamically intended for this course. This is pretty early on in development, and one of the ways you can tell that is that the road is at a 45-degree angle. Now, in the final game, all roads are aligned on the y-axis for the start, so the finish line is in the x-axis. This would have to be rotated 45 degrees in order for us to make it now, based on the way the engine works. But it appears that at that time, there may not have been that restriction or that setup to the game. Now, if I had to make a random guess as to why that was, when you cross the finish line, the game calculates how far in distance you are from the finish line on the frame that it sees that the race is over. The reason for that is that based on the frame count, 60 frames a second or 59 for PAL, you can only get 0.04 increments in the timer. So in order to allow you to get a 0.01 difference in final time, they measure the distance that you've gone over the finish line, and that gives them a rough idea of how far you traveled, how fast you were going, things like that. Now you can do those calculations, but they're more significantly difficult if you're doing them at angles as opposed to at a straight line. So I think that when they wanted to fine-tune that counter, I believe that that was added on later on in development. I have no way to prove that, it's just speculation, but that's my belief as to why that change would have been made. The course, though, does proceed down from the beginning. I may have been making some bad gestures. So it heads straight towards the church, through this small area with a grass field that you'd be able to drive over or around. proceeds up to this area with a tunnel. Now the tunnel is very interesting because this level was actually replaced with Luigi's Raceway. You can see that the point data that would contain the course paths for the level, they actually end up being replaced by Luigi's Raceway's paths in the Kimura archive where this was found. So we don't have any course paths or any item block data or any type of object data, only the model data itself, because it was already being replaced by the time that this archive was made. However, it's very obvious as to which way you're supposed to navigate. This sign right here is one of the signs that points you in which direction to turn, and the only way a sign like this can make sense is if the player was going this way. If they were coming this way, they wouldn't be able to see the sign, and it wouldn't be pointing them towards any direction. So based on that, I can tell obviously which way you're supposed to navigate the course, and then there are several walls which prohibit and prevent the player from going out in any area. And because of that, again, it's very easy to see the general path that you have to take through this level. Just to give you an overview right quick, down here, through the tunnel, up to here, I believe. Then, no, I'm mistaken. Up to here, right. Up to here, left. Up to here, around. I might be getting a little bit of this wrong, and then down through here. Cutting across on this block, going past the castle, and then coming up into there. Again, I might have gotten that slightly wrong, but the point is it's a very long, convoluted path, and it's all blocked off by these walls and signs. So going a bit more in depth, again, we came across the grass. We were heading towards the tunnel, which was reminiscent of Luigi's Raceway. And then back out the tunnel to a turn here. Now you can't take the early turn. This is farmland. These are crops that are with these little bumps you can see. So you would pass through the farmland. Looks like there's actually bumps in the roadway. Interesting. So in the road itself, you're going to hit a few bumps when you come across the... or no, never mind. No, I was mistaken in that. That is a straight and flat road. So you're going to proceed through the farmland area, take a left, another left, and this part is pretty open, which lets you get a nice turn going through, the U-turn. If it was flat like that, it would be very difficult to knock those two 90-degree turns. Coming up here, though, you do have one of those very sharp 90-degree turns. Again, walls to block you. And so, yeah, I was mistaken. It wasn't up the green road, it's up this peach road, where you then have to take the left around the factory. Again, there is the shortcut inside the factory itself. I'll see if I can zoom in. So, nothing of interest inside here. It's just a square with a roof as well. It doesn't go up to the... Let me turn on back facing so we could see in one moment. That way we're not looking at the back of these objects as well. There we go. So, again, there is a roof. It doesn't go straight up to the angled ceiling. There is a flat roof, but nothing of detail inside of there. Another turn or straight through to this area. Another park, nice fountain that I mentioned earlier. Here we have some signs that are showing up on the buildings. These are going to be signs that say cafe. There will be banners that are floating down and things like that. All sorts of little decorations to the buildings. Most of the buildings also, the bitmaps have windows on the walls, which give the illusion, again, that they're actual structures and not just little cubes. But through this parkway, around this corner, to another turn. So we'll navigate down here, again, 2 walls, to another turn, up this way, walls again, and here is a moat. So there's an actual moat that travels the whole length of the level there, and this goes all the way down until another turn. So you're going to come across this bridge. This is blocked, and this is blocked, and this is blocked. So you're taking a left again, going down to here. Now this structure is the castle, and I'm really interested to see what this is. This is a little, it's some type of sign, some type of stone, almost like a tombstone. It has writing on it. It is not the same as the El is Real statue in Zelda and Mario. It is a different texture, but I'm just interested to see that bitmap a bit more in depth. We'll be able to look at that maybe in a little bit. But yeah, around the castle with the option of going inside, you can drive inside the castle. It is fully accessible, but you can't go anywhere in it, just that little stone thing, whatever. So there's, again, a U-turn that you'd have to go through. you're going to go around this purple building. The road narrows slightly here to a tight alley, right turn, left turn. Again, walls preventing you from really doing anything. Straight ahead, left turn, and right turn. Now, something interesting, you might look at this and say, geez, I could just skip right from the beginning and bounce over these walls. But if you look, there's actually pretty significant. So this wall is double-sided. I'm going to turn off backface culling now because these would be drawn on both edges. So I need to do it for everything. One moment. There we go. Backface culling off. So you can see that there's a good gap between where the road is and where this road is. So it really would be difficult just about anywhere to to make a successful skip. There's always a pretty decent amount of space, and of course all that space behind would be out of bounds and inaccessible. So very interesting to look through this and see everything. Again, definitely watch that YouTube video put together by Micro. It took him several hours to render that and a couple days to get the whole course together. And part of that's kind of my fault. So interesting story. When we last spoke, I had mentioned how this had an issue with the F3D and F3DEX, and it was very peculiar. The reason it was trying to load verts past the end of data is because we had a limited understanding. There was a command in the compressed segment data. So the F3D gets compressed in Mario Kart 64 to a specific format that is exclusive to this game. It does not feature in any other game. And it's a limited F3D code set, basically, with intended parameters. So you're not able to have as much control over what parameters are used, but there's also just a lot of removal of dead space, like all the zeros and the 32-bit commands. So it does a very good job of trimming up a limited set of F3DX commands. Now, the issue is that in the final game, there is never a use of the 28 command. Anytime that it turns out to be loading verts, anytime that the verts are loaded in the final game, the game loads 32 verts at position 0. And I've mentioned this in other videos before. 32 verts is the total number in the cache, and so it loads and fills the entire cache with verts. Because this works in every final course, I had no reason to believe there was anything wrong with my compression or decompression algorithms. When we ran it on this, I had just a generic output for command 28 because it had never come up, and we just kind of assumed it didn't exist, at least I did. So then it output that generic set command, which happened to be load verts from 300,000 bytes past memory. Now, to be fair, that's something that Micro put on his wiki, but I should have not just copied it blindly either and assumed that it was right. So that caused us a good day and a half of grief trying to figure out vert commands that weren't real. Micro is a wizard. He was able to look through that command once I figured out that's what was causing the issue, and he was able to figure out that that command 28 is also for loading verts, and it loads a certain number of verts at a certain index. So once he was able to figure out the layout of that, he was able to get his course rendered immediately. And then about a day and a half later, after he explained it, I was finally able to figure out what he meant, and I got mine working as well. So huge thanks to Micro for all that work and getting everything set up, and it's going to be great to see him put this course together and make something out of it. Definitely very, very exciting. So this wasn't the only thing that we found. Some other interesting things have ended up popping up, and nothing that great, but there was another level spoken about in that same interview that was cut. This level was a parking garage. It was 4 floors. You would drive up and then I guess back down the other side. And it was cut because people said that when they were driving in a circle, they got dizzy. And I'm not sure if that was just a joke, it was a bad level. This was the beginning of 3D. And I know a lot of people with 3D games do have issues with nausea. Perhaps it was true. But regardless, something interesting we found, it might take me a minute or so to stumble upon them. We found texture data relating to that, I think it's all the way at the bottom, to that cut course. Now, this texture data is not referenced by anything, so it's never built into the game, and here we are. So you could see the floor markers for first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, and the roof, as well as some arrows that would go to the left and right of those files. These would have been used on that level, obviously. There's nowhere else in the game where you'd have a 4-floor structure, but there is no model data. So again, these aren't referenced anywhere. There is no vert data or model data like there was for the town level, so there will be no way for us to reconstruct or pull out this the file from the source code that we have. Again, we've pulled out a Komora archive from the original source code, which was meant for the IQ, and this Komora archive is where all of this interesting stuff is being found. But it doesn't appear that we have everything. There's still some data missing. Specifically, there's still source code missing. We did now try to compile it, and we have found that the source code is incomplete. So unfortunately, at the moment, we're not able to take the files that we have and put everything together. Now, it does look like we have all of the O files, the compiled binaries, which means that we can recompile the game as it already is written, which isn't really that useful. However, with the vast amount of source code that we have, we think that we can possibly root out, find out which files are good and which ones we don't have, and just kind of keep our fingers crossed that the missing files aren't so important. Now, we found a ton of files in source code, so there's a lot of stuff. We just have to hope that the stuff that we don't have, again, isn't stuff that we care too much about. If that is the case, we can kind of rewrite in a make file to only compile the source code we have, and to use the binaries for the source code that we don't have, and then we'll be just limited as to what edits we can make. That's still a long way down the line, and that's if we ever decide to use this. Again, the implications really of utilizing the leaked source code are definitely pretty vast, so it's a question of whether or not it's even worth all that effort to use something that we're not even really supposed to have. But definitely some interesting things. Again, all these textures here, and then these are the textures that'll be used on town. So you have the cafe signs. There's a hotel sign somewhere. I can probably find typing in hotel. Yep. So there we go, hotel signs as well. So there were some neat things. Banners to go outside some of the buildings. So the guardrails. So the guardrails are very interesting looking. You can probably see them in Micro's video. Here's the stained glass as well. Pull that image for the church. So that was mirrored on both ends. So again, just some pretty interesting things overall. We've got to keep continuing to look through this and figure out what else might be, usable and hidden and able to be found. But for now, I just wanted to make another update video, show off the level and some of the other stuff we've been finding. This is all the people in the Discord server right now. It's not me, it's everybody. So huge thanks to everyone working on this and going through stuff. It's great having so much interest in this game. It's great having so many people want to be active in it, and it's very exciting to see what we're going to be doing going forward. So, as always, if you want to be kept up to date on Mario Kart news and everything going on, go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube channel here, and join the Discord server. I'll have a link in the description. We're always doing something, always making new mods and content for Mario Kart 64, and with this leak, it'll be a whole lot more coming on for certain. So, if you want to be kept up to date, that's the thing to do. And as always, until next time, you guys take care.